Serious new concerns about the state of affairs in our nation's capital as a bitter spending fight goes on in Congress, threatening to shut down the federal government Monday night. And as if it wasn't that bad, look at this. A brand new CBS News New York Times poll finds that just 43% of Americans agree with President Obama's job performance. That is his lowest approval rating in 2 years. Let's bring in our political insiders. John LeBoutelier, former Republican congressman for New York. Pat Goodell, Fox News contributor and a former pollster for President Jimmy Carter. Doug Schoen, also a Fox News contributor and a former pollster for Bill Clinton. Doug, yep. I saw one poll, I think it was the Reuters poll, that had the president as low as 39%.
Yeah, Greg, it is undeniable that the president is trending down. He gets negative ratings on handling the economy, foreign policy. Bottom line, the American people are sick and tired. The only thing that's really buttressing him now is a Republican Party that is committing hara-kiri, that is doing what the American people don't want, which is ultimately being responsible for shutting the government down due to their intransigence over an admittedly unpopular Obamacare.
Republicans always get the blame whenever this happens, Pat.
Correct.
And in fact, they're already getting the blame. Let's put the next poll up. CBS New York Times, who's more to blame if the government shuts down? Look at this. Republicans in Congress, 44%. President and Democrats, 36%. The 16%, both equally, is an important piece of data as well. Pat?
Yeah, well, what we have is a country looking at what's going on in Washington and condemning all of them. And they have a lot to do, merit to condemn them all for. The Republican strategy, we have argued for a long time, their fallback position, which we have said to you for weeks, is insane not to have had it earlier, which could have drawn, like Joe Manchin, Democratic support for a delay. But, the bitter bill by Senator Bitter in the Senate, to deal with the issue of the Congress exempting themselves. The House didn't even put it in. You know why? Because they're all in on this. And the American people are going, you people are screwing up, so everybody's numbers are going to come down on this.
You think the Republicans are in the tank, Pat?
I think, yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think, Benghazi?
Do.
Yes,
I do think they are.
I think they've got the leadership.
So that's what it is.
In the tank.
Let me talk to you about this strategy, sort of a twofold strategy, delay versus defund. Now, defund is profoundly unpopular. Delay by 30 points is very popular. Let me just put up defund up here. This is a CNBC poll. Put that one up. Defund Obamacare if it means shutting down the government. Look at that. 59%, almost 60% say absolutely no. John?
Well, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but the three of us with you, Greg, for the last 2 months have been saying the way to go was to ask for a delay of 1 year to go along with the president's delay of the business mandate. Absolutely. And had the Republicans used this summer to investigate the IRS aggressively and help discredit that agency even more, they would have the argument to say to the country, look, the IRS can't be trusted to run Obamacare. The exchanges are not set up. The president's delaying part of the bill. Don't you think we ought to delay the whole thing for a year, take another look at it?
And the economy. Let's not forget the economic. 80% of jobs now being created part-time. The union screaming bloody murder, what we said on this program.
Well, because of Obamacare.
If they had reached out to the unions on the delay.
I think this is too late by the Republicans. What John and Pat are saying is that the Republicans had a coherent pro-growth plan to stimulate the economy and delay Obamacare. It would have been popular. To do it at the 11th hour doesn't cut the mustard.
Attaching it to the debt ceiling also seems insane.
But how can you
Greg, we should focus on that. And John, excuse me for 1 second. The full faith and credit of the United States is at stake. For the Republicans to hold the government hostage to their agenda is a huge, huge mistake.
You could see a massive default and a halt to spending as we know it. All right, I want to put up a couple of more polls up here and have you guys react to this. CBS New York Times poll, take a look at this. I mean, on almost every issue, the president is doing poorly. Look at that. The economy, on Syria, on Iran, his disapproval far outweighs his approval rating. Go to the Bloomberg poll. The nation is generally headed in the right direction. A scant 25%, 68% say wrong direction.
I don't want to jump into our next topic, but let me just say that because of these numbers, I think the president is desperate to have something to hang his second term on, a success of some sort. And I think when we get to it in a few minutes, either Iran or Syria or both. They're likely, he and Kerry, to make a bad deal just to get a deal, to run around and say, hey, I got a great accomplishment here.
All right, Pat.
I want to go back about these numbers on Obama because they're even worse. Healthcare, 40 approval, 54 disapprove. Budget deficit, 35 approved, 54 disapprove. His numbers are going down, but as Doug said earlier, the stupid party at work, they were winning, I think we said last week, by just default, sort of. They have now set themselves up to be questioned. Although, we should mention, the discontent with Washington, right. What Ted Cruz started speaking about is, and we should mention him, because we have an 8-month tenured senator driving the bus for everybody.
Well, he seems to be in charge.
He
seems to be in charge of the House, Doug, yeah. and Speaker Boehner seems to be nowhere.
Boehner is basically abrogated responsibility. I think they're going to have a press conference, the Republican leadership, in a few minutes.
15 minutes.
We will see, and I think it's important to watch. But bottom line, what Pat is saying is exactly right. Ted Cruz is driving the bus. I say the wrong direction because the defund proposition is basically DOA.
Yeah. But you also have this major problem. If we get away from any one little thing, the Speaker of the House doesn't always talk to the Majority Leader of the House.
Right.
The Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader of the Senate never talk.
Right.
The Speaker of the House is the top Republican, and the Minority Leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, they never talk. And the president
never talks to anybody.
Never talks to anybody.
Except Valerie Jarrett.
Except chasing the Iranian president around.
Doesn't
won't
talk
shake
to him
his
either,
hand.
though.
Yeah.
He won't even talk to him.
Yeah, he'll talk to a terrorist nation, but not to Congress, which he claims, or at least his staff is calling terrorists.
Right, that's correct.
Yeah, okay. We're going to pause and take a quick break. Our political insiders are going to stick around because we do want to talk about this deal with Syria on chemical weapons doomed to fail. And was President Obama way too quick to sign off on that? Too eager? Is he too eager with Iran? More on that when our insiders return.